Thank you.
Now, I'd like to ask you guys a question. But before I do, you'll need to know the definition of two very important words: underdog and real-world context. The definition of an underdog is a competitor thought to have little to no chance of winning a fight or a contest. And the definition of a real-world context is the real world is a place in which one must live in the circumstances which they were born in and must deal with it. Now I'm sure the burning question everyone's just so anxious to hear about is, what does underdog mean in real-world context? I promise you by the end of this session, you'll know the answer to that question. My name is Ameera Gaal. Now I could stand on this stage and list off everything that I'm involved in, my dreams, my hopes, and what I want to be, but that isn't me. Are you guys getting it yet? You know what? Why don't we make this a lot easier and take a deep dive into my past? Now, for the past 15 years of my life, I've been taught two very important lessons that have stuck with me. These lessons were taught to me by two very strong women in my life who have guided me in a world that I knew nothing about. My mother was a very strong woman. She was a single mother taking care of 5 kids while trying to leave a country stricken with poverty and war, so that we could have a better life, so I could have a better life. She taught me something precious. She taught me something that I will hold close to me for the rest of my life. She taught me something that isn't afraid to fly through the sky and walk right through walls. She taught me determination. She taught me determination to try, fail, and to succeed. The next woman I want to talk about, who has substantially shaped me and made me who I am in ways she may never even realize, is my older sister, my #1 fan and my taxi driver. She gave me something that awakened new possibilities, that allowed me to transcend my ordinary experiences and limitations, that transformed the way I perceived my capabilities and changed what I believe I could ever accomplish. Now you may be asking, what is it? What's the lesson? What'd she teach you? What's this big magic lesson? And it's really simple. She inspired me. That's it. That's all she did. And that was more than enough. Inspiration may sometimes be overlooked because of its elusive nature, but it can come from anywhere and everywhere. Inspiration may come about on its own, but it's completely up to you on how you're going to shape it and form it. So you may be asking, what's so important about these two lessons? Well, just a few years back, my mindset was so crippled and unhealthy that I remember sitting in the back of the classroom with my head down, bawling my eyes out silently. And I remember that moment so well because that was the day I decided, enough of this. Enough of this feeling of hopelessness. I don't want to feel this way. I don't deserve to feel this way. I deserve better. I needed better. And I wish it was as easy as it sounded. I wish I could just snap my fingers and I was just back to normal and I never went back into that pit again. But it wasn't. And it took time, it took effort, and I had to try and try again. And I'm still trying, I'm still learning. And it goes back to the first lesson I was ever taught as a child: determination. I was determined. I dealt with a lot of insecurities as a child, as a teenager, but it was a lot more difficult dealing with them when I stood out so much more because of my hijab. It was even harder when others considered my hijab a burden, something I had to deal with, not by choice, but was forced into it. And it made me feel heavy and dirty and ugly and all sorts of bad stuff in my hijab. But I realized with my struggles came something unexpected: passion. I wanted to help other Muslim girls going through the same difficulties I went through, that I'm still going through. But how could some wannabe 14-year-old girl help the millions of vulnerable Muslim girls out there who are going through what I went through. So when I heard about the Young Entrepreneurs Academy, a hands-on interactive academy where you can start and run your own business, you could pretty much guess my reaction. I was over the moon excited. I remember watching the video and rewatching it over and over again. But I had to put the paper down. And I found out how much it would cost. I got my hopes up a little too high, a little too early, and a little too fast. They crashed back down on me hard. I knew what I wanted. I wanted to be accepted into that academy. And I was going to take whatever steps were necessary, work however hard I needed to accomplish my dream, to make it a reality. So when I heard about the scholarship, you better believe I snatched it up. To my unbelieving ears, I was accepted. My journey in the academy was life-changing. And I know that may seem silly to say as a 15-year-old, but it was both mentally and physically. I now own and run my own business that I'm proud of, that stands with my morals and my beliefs, that changes the community in small but significant ways. I met people I would have never known. People who have the same hopes and inspirations as me, who dream hard and work harder, people who have changed me in ways they may never realized. I remember standing in front of the stage at the Young Entrepreneurs Academy Shark Investor Panel. I remember at the stage and eyes blurring, feelings, my legs shaking, heart pounding, words coming out in broken gibberish, and it felt like everything had crashed within a few seconds. And then I take a glimpse to my side and I see my sister pounding at the air, mouthing silently, "Stand up straighter, hold your chin higher." And I could suddenly remember why I doubled the size of my note cards and why I laid awake at night, hours practicing for my presentation. And I could suddenly breathe. I could suddenly remember my dream. I walked back down that stage proud that I had accomplished my goal. I had spoken about my business with every ounce of my passion. So, underdog is someone who is born under circumstances that doesn't necessarily allow them to win. A underdog is someone who overcomes those struggles and tells their story. A underdog in a real-world context is so much more than words. Those words carry weight, both emotional and physical. They carry the pain, the experience, the difficulties of someone who went through. They carry the weight of joy, failure, and success of someone who worked hard to be recognized. Done.